We're live.
Hey everybody, this is Snigbat. We're here to do Talking Initiative today. I'm all psyched up because this is gonna be a fun day.
Whoa,
we
that
talk about
echo.
stuff and woo! Hey everybody, welcome to Talking Initiative. How you doing today? How's everybody doing
Mentally
today?
unprepared for what you just
Pretty good.
Yeah.
You did that so loud. It went through your door,
Yes.
through my door, to my microphone, and looped.
Snigbat don't give a fuck. Snigbat is here to make it clear. So today we're going to be talking about episodes 9 and 10 of our show, Taking Initiative, not Talking Initiative. Talking Initiative is the show we're on right now. So how's everybody doing today? Everybody doing well? Happy?
Doing really well.
Doing
Good Saturday
It was a good
for everybody
session.
so
Good
far?
session.
Yeah, we had a good
Got
session
some
before.
veggies at the market. Oh, recording.
Ooh, veggies at the market. So who wants to talk about what happened in episode 9?
Nick does.
Nick always does.
Okay, so as far as I remember it, episode 9, we hadn't left to the cave yet. We woke up in the castle.
Yes.
And
I'll
Zell
give you a
found-
heads up. You woke up after having a huge discussion with the book, and then you learned some things about Zell and his backstory. Kind of got a little bit of insight into the people around you, and then y'all took a long rest, and you woke up the next day.
yeah, I'm pretty sure we agreed to not talk about what happened with the book. We just closed that chapter and moved
Unanimously.
Yep.
on.
I'm not scared of a book. I want you to think about that.
It knew things about us, okay?
Yo, books are
books
scary
have
in the
knowledge,
D&D
okay?
world.
Yeah.
Books are terrifying.
got
Knowledge is scary.
Brains.
I like this light that's shining on my face right now. So sorry about that. Zell found a cat, a Tressum named Watt.
What?
Yeah. So then we decide to go to the caves to look for the townspeople that use the cave as like a escape plan for them to all meet up at the cave if the town was ever attacked. So we go. Moose does some tracking to find the trail to the caves successfully. We get there without any issue. Mortimer and Surreal get some details about some Surreal backstory, which would have been pretty cool. But
That scene.
but we were very elusive.
Let's go back to that scene for a moment.
Where Nick was a
Where-
genius.
Some things got revealed by Surreal, and then right after all of the tense moment, we get Barty in his finest.
Nick being a genius.
Well, the thing is, it's a mixture of what Barty would have wanted to do, and also I want to know what the hell's going on with your backstories, you know? So you guys are hinting at some past relationships and some bad breakups, and Barty's just like, oh, okay.
Barty has made it very clear that he is here for the drama.
Yes, he is here for the story. He is you get the sense that once he believes that once this is all said and done, this will just be another tale to tell in the towns that he passes by. Which is pretty awesome. But he's, I think he's starting to get pretty close to his friends. So
I'm sorry. Are you with us just to get dirt on us to tell other people?
I mean, that's how, you know what? Barty has grown, but I'd like to think that that's how he started this journey where he just wanted some extra story and dirt on people, but he likes you all.
You changed the names, so
Yeah, of course.
Big Mortimer to like Bortimer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be a good change.
Moose is Goose.
Yeah, we met Bortimer and Goreel down the line. That was good.
And then the most majestic of all, Bartholomew.
Yep. So we get a little bit of information about that, which is pretty cool. But yet Surreal's not a fan of sharing, so she's gonna be a tough nut to crack. We're not gonna be able to get to that. I think that she has a very soft, loving center, but we'll see what happens in further episodes.
Melted Snickers.
We go to the cave and we look for an entrance inside. We end up finding multiple entrances inside the cave, but the most the one that we tend to utilize is Zell and Barty go to the top and find like a chimney chute that is at the top of the cave, and we like drop down and like Batman Arkham Knight or Arkham City scoop up this goblin to the top and bring him down because Mortimer is our great interrogator Batman-esque character. And we get to meet Snigbat, which we heard from earlier just now. Hey, I'm Snigbat. Love it. So we find Snigbat. Snigbat immediately helps us. He is just so scared of everyone. She is so scared of everyone, and Surreal has to like stop Moose from murdering Snigbat immediately. I was like, whoa, calm down. But Mortimer and Surreal end up getting a great bit of information from Snigbat. Snigbat hates the current leader, Hark, and is like, I should be in charge. Snigbat should be in charge. So we agree to follow Snigbat into the cave. Moose is going to stay outside to like pot shot anybody who tries to escape,
and also not murder every single thing she sees within the cave.
Exactly, you can't really trust Moose in a goblin cave, so we decide to strategically plan Moose to stay outside. So we. Or
it raises the question: can you trust Moose in a goblin cave?
Ooh, you know exactly what she's gonna do. So that's pretty cool. We get in and immediately Snigbat ruins our surprise attack and goes right up to
goblins are not smart.
That wouldn't have been a problem if you had let Moose kill her.
But that would have been a problem.
So while that's happening, I believe Zell goes off to look for the prisoners because the prisoners aren't in the same room as Hark.
No. Snigbat basically revealed the information of what was going on in the cave, where everything was located. Gave the information that to the left of the cave was where all like the commoner goblins were, like the ones that wouldn't attack you. To the right was a chamber where something known as the Blob they resided. Okay. And then up towards the top right was a bat cave, not to be confused with the bat cave.
Mortimer's home.
Yeah, Mortimer's house, where there was a hole in the ground and a bunch of bats lived in there, and then the prisoners were being held in there. Villagers were being held in there.
Yes, I'm pretty sure Surreal gave Zell a stern talking to and was like, "You got to help us, bro." And in that conversation, we found out that goblins eat people. So I think that kind of forced Zell's hand a little bit to like.
To be fair, lots of things in the D&D world eat people. Goblins are just one of the many.
So that like kind of like put us on edge and was like, all right, we need to get in there and save these people before another person gets eaten. We get inside and we notice a like dead person, like right by Hark. So that really doesn't lend us to talking Hark off this ledge. So
you see there was a corpse that was being eaten by the rats that were his pets.
So at this point, Hark and Snigbat go back and forth trying to be like, no, help me. And Snigbat's like, no, help me. And we agree to just like side with Snigbat because these guys clearly just ate them. And Snigbat promises not to eat any more humans and just let them free once she's taken over as leader. So in the like conversation, Mortimer gives a command without even realizing it to Hark to kneel to Snigbat, and marks Snigbat as the leader, and it works. And so Snigbat gets appointed as the head goblin, I guess.
Yeah,
and
Boss Snigbat.
Boss Snigbat. Then we have to, of course, take down like the ogres, right? There were ogres or orcs.
So that's more or less, I believe, where that episode ended, where you put Snigbat in power, took down Boss Hark. He was taken away. Snigbat, through some like random stroke of luck, because dice rolls, managed to fuck up Hark's day entirely within 2 seconds. And then you guys basically put Snigbat in power, and then they were like, okay, the only issue now is you guys can get the people out, but you also have to get rid of the ogres first.
Yep.
And then you guys devised a plan. In order to get the ogre's attention away from the cavern and kind of guide the villagers to safety up and out of the cave and get them away from harm's way.
Pretty sure Surreal just like took charge and was like, all right, you do this, you do this, you do this. We're figuring this out.
Yeah, Surreal very much became the point person there of just like, we're getting this shit done and we're getting it done right. I'm done.
No more deaths here.
The first episode started off really interesting with the exploration of entrances and exits into that cave, because when Zell and Barty went to the top, I was I agree. I was like, they're about to get themselves into some fucking shenanigans. What the fuck? And then that actually ended up being a really good plan of theirs to like basically it's like capture and like go in and just grab one.
Catch and grab.
Yeah, catch and grab. Thank you, Hannah, for being in my brain and knowing that that's what I needed. And that ended up being really good.
Yeah, I can't imagine going into this thing without Snigbat, directing us. And
I can. It would have been a great time for everybody. There would have been so much murder.
There would have been a lot of murder. If you had not gotten Snigbat's help, you would have had to basically fight everything in that cave.
Yeah.
Maybe except for the blob.
Yeah, but I'm also glad that we had that information of knowing that there was a blob there that we could avoid.
Mm-hmm.
There was some stuff that we could just kind of circumvent, which was pretty cool. We got some cool shit. We got a bag of holding. We got we got some good stuff.
So after that next episode, then episode 10 was basically all about enacting the plan and seeing what was happening. You guys managed to divert the attention of the ogres out of the cave and basically line formation chugged everybody out of the cavern up into that ceiling while everybody waited around, and you guys kind of deftly disposed of the other two ogres.
We did not get to that episode yet.
That's 11.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. 10 is like we fight Hark.
All right. That's right. Okay, you guys fight Ark. Well, you
Spoilers!
Spoilers!
We also didn't get the bag of holding yet.
What?
That's 11.
What bag of
That's
holding?
after.
We don't have a bag of holding. What are you talking about?
Well, we're all kinds of messed up here.
A few episodes. We've done a few.
Hold up.
We've gone forward. I think it's okay.
I thought that Surreal helped.
When
That's
we were
not
done.
10?
Nope.
Nope. The ogres first, and then.
Oh,
after.
actually, it may have been is you got the bag, but you don't know what it is yet.
Right. Okay. It's a bag of holding.
So, boom. Anyway, so you guys managed to start enacting the plan, and then eventually we will get to the fight.
Yeah.
Fight.
So yes, that is the entirety of what happened in those two episodes. So, how did everybody feel going through this experience? This was your first kind of. You guys were in the town for a while dealing with this situation, but this was your first time really going into an area you were more of like a dungeon type scenario. There was the situation you were completely blind to. You couldn't really see what was going on inside the cave. What was kind of going through all of your minds as you were delving into this?
Murder.
Murder.
Kill more goblins.
Mine was, I hope negotiations work.
Why are they all murderous all the time?
I think Surreal was very much on the like worried about how to control things to the best of their abilities. So like keeping a very anxious eye on Zell and just all of those elements of chaos happening. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is also the one of the first. I can't remember exactly like every detail about the first 8 episodes, but this is one of the first instances where we work really well as a party. I feel like every other time it's been like, okay, well, we've gotten through based on the fact that each one of our individual characters knows what they want to do, and we just happen to do really well. Like all of our goals match. This instance is a lot of like, okay, we're going to go this way. Everyone's talking together. Everyone's pre-planning moves of things that are going to happen. So it's interesting. I love the idea that like we all figure out who we are as individuals. Then we figure out how we work well as a party, and we see how the group grows.
And I think that also allowed us to start dropping some more backstory stuff or more personal stuff, or I think it allowed for more Mortimer progression of things to happen. So that's all very good stuff too.
So yeah, this was really like, this is where you guys hit level 3, and now we're getting those introductions into your characters of like what their capabilities are going to be, kind of foreshadowing future events of like, what will this turn into? What are the abilities that are kind of starting to form within these characters that will eventually turn into something?
Yep.
Yeah. So behind the scenes things with what my plans were for Mortimer at the time. Mortimer has no idea what's going on with him. And in the past 8 episodes, whatever, you saw Mortimer as the tactician of like, this is what we're going to do. Here's how we're going to do it. Not really being open to like other ways. But after he did the command, Mortimer was out of commission in a cognitive sense. which allowed him to back up and listen to orders to see how the party works without him screaming orders at people, which was beneficial for him to go, oh, this can work both ways. So let's be open to different tactics and see what we can do. We can see that Surreal can lead as well. We see that Moose doesn't like caves. She also really hates goblins. That's good to know. But as a way to take the tactician out so that way he can learn other ways of going about teamwork.
Yeah, I like that personally because, I mean, like you said, up until this moment, very tactical. Like he wants all the answers. He wants to know everything before getting into the situation, if possible. And with this first occurrence of like something happening out of his control, it's interesting to see Mortimer be like, "Oh shit, there are forces that aren't just my intent going on right now. So I need to maybe take a step back and see what's going on." It's kind of cool. Very cool.
Another thing that I think would be interesting to talk about is I know after the situation with the book and kind of what happened, everyone, at least within the game, was very much like, don't want to talk about it, don't want to get further into the details of this. Like, this is what it is, and we don't have to talk about it. But I know for a fact within your characters, they must have been thinking something different, knowing the information that they discovered. Like, regardless of not wanting to talk about it at all, you now know some information or a little bit that the people around you are potentially just as much a mess as you are. So what was kind of like the consensus of like what's going on in your mind of like, okay, yeah, I don't want to talk about what's going on in my past because I just met these people and I don't want to do that, but now I kind of know something about these people.
I think that moment was too vague for Mortimer to really know what was going on with other people, and he was more so concerned with what he was told about himself. That with the situation in Nightstone and him hearing that what you did was okay or whatever, he wasn't actually actively thinking about what was told to the other members. Because again, it wasn't enough information to go off of to really spark anything.
Other than Zell, which you learned, which we covered last time.
Yeah, I mean,
had the realization of who Zell was.
Yeah. But I think Mortimer was more on the track of what's going on in Nightstone. Let's solve that first. And then with everything then happening afterwards, with him not being able to control what he's doing, he was not thinking of other people at that point in time. He was like, what the hell is going on with me?
Yeah.
Yeah, Moose was kind of the same way. She was very like, and we'll see this a lot more later, but she's very not interested in having her own affairs investigated and delved into. And she's definitely not the kind of person who's going to like pry about other people's lives. So I think she felt very uncomfortable about knowing that other people knew something about her and that she knew stuff about everyone else.
Yeah.
That was not like offered to her from those people.
Mm-hmm.
It was very invasive and she hated everything about it.
Barty's torn because, you know,
because Barty's a gossipy little bitch.
Without a doubt. Barty really likes, you know, getting to know the information about the people around him in different ways. And but he also isn't comfortable giving out information. I mean, this man is a storyteller, right? So he's constantly talking about himself as well. So the fact of information being given that it wasn't in his control, it kind of gave him like am I also like crossing a boundary here? Like, I'm fine with listening in on everybody's gossip and getting all the dirt, but then when it happens to me out of my control, he's kind of like, oh, whoa, like what? Like, no, that's not right. So Barty's a little confused.
Barty's a hypocrite.
Yes, without a doubt.
I want to know what's going on with everybody.
Barty's learning some kindergarten skills.
Nope.
Surreal falls along the same pathway as Moose, I think, is that like she's not quite comfortable knowing things about people that they didn't share with her directly because she feels like that's kind of a violation. She's also kind of uncomfortable with people knowing things about her that she didn't share with consent. So just kind of uncomfortable going into the let's agree not to talk about this mindset.
It's a weird thing about the world of D&D is there's this level of like there's these norms that we have in our society of like these are things that you just don't do. These are things that you don't share. If someone doesn't share information with you, you don't try and pry. you just let things alone. But in a world where there's magic, where people can literally just open up your mind with magic and see what's going on inside, it's a weird line, and it's something
That's
that we
non-consensual.
don't usually, exactly. It's a weird line of things that like happens in the D&D world. Like magic kind of opens up this whole new realm of things that what are the norms of magic? How do we create those things? It's entirely out of our scope of knowledge, and it's kind of interesting to see that brought to life in the game and explore that topic.
And trying to set boundaries too,
Right.
when like the archivist is just out here fucking in everybody's brain.
Just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Right.
It's weird because like we've run into that situation before where we play characters or we play these storylines that that toe the line of morality like in our world, but yet it's happening in this fantasy world. So it's interesting to play characters that don't line up exactly with what you would do outside of the game. Also,
Right.
we want to make sure that we're putting this out for people to listen to. We want to make sure that we also like we might toe the line of, but we're not. I don't think any one of us wants to cross any.
Yeah, and that also opens up like a broader conversation about the power fantasy world has to explore like really uncomfortable topics and like where everybody at the table has to make a conversation, like come to a conclusion together about like, okay, where am I comfortable going, or where, at what point do we stop for everybody, or are we really interested in like using this space to do weird, potentially unsavory things with very few repercussions?
Right. And there's also another element of
Academia.
There's also another element of it with deities and gods and all of that. Like there's, in our world, believe what you will about God. We're not going to get into that. But in the D&D world, gods are very real. They do exist and everyone knows they exist. So their belief in something that is actually real is what they believe.
That's
And-
because D&D gods are meddlesome bitches.
Correct. That omniscient presence of something that exists is real. And it's something that is basically watching the earth for its specific purpose. Like all
As
gods
we-
have their own very much different purpose.
As we learned in the game we played gay, that you guys will see in like a year.
I forgot who said it, but someone said that atheists in D&D aren't really a great thing. It's more of you're just ignorant because like they exist. It's
you can
right
see it.
here.
Yeah,
It's
atheism is
physically
not
here.
really something that can exist in the world unless you're just like, nope, I choose not to believe
They're
it. It's
basically
like,
the flat earthers of D&D.
right.
I feel like somebody who's an atheist in D&D would be more like, these things aren't gods.
Yeah,
They're just really
just be a
powerful
disbelief.
creatures, like
Eldritch
that kind of
shit.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
interesting.
Drew, I'm curious of your take because you had the Master Archivist. You know that he was, he can talk in people's heads and all that kind of stuff. And he knows everything. How did you feel seeing everyone's reactions to your side character, your sidecar guy?
My sidecar guy. I mean, Zell wouldn't have thought anything weird about it until everyone else thought it was weird. Because
Hey, Drew.
him, it's just yes,
Can you get a little bit more romantic with your mic, please?
I definitely can.
Thank you.
Getting steamy on
Can you
talking.
turn up the romance, please? Thank
Oh
you.
yes. No, Zell wouldn't have thought anything weird about it until everyone else pointed out that it was weird because he just grew up with that sort of thing. Like somebody always knows more about him than he does, and somebody's always there watching, and the archivist is always there listening and gathering information. So
So creepy.
Yeah.
to him, it's just this
It's
is
a
just
norm.
life. This is what
Right.
what I deal with.
And it's that really interesting idea of bringing in someone who has that background of just like, oh, everything I know and think, everything I think and say, already someone else knows. So that's just the way life is, as
No
opposed to you
privacy
guys,
in
where
Zell's
it's like,
Yeah.
oh, we have private lives, no one's listening to me right now, or at least you don't know if anybody's listening to you. Like the
Like to
gods
keep-
could know things.
I'd like to keep my embarrassing, horny shit to myself.
Well, you can't with the archivist around.
Very quick
What was
audio
that?
aside. Sorry. I realized that when I was muting Zoom, when I was having some of the popcorn off to the side, it wasn't actually muting OBS. So I'm so sorry for any
Popcorn
sounds
on
that came
mic.
over. I'm so sorry. That was not intentional. I will be better. I feel like an idiot. I'm so sorry.
The
Is the
crunchy
Master
popcorn
Archivist
noise.
like hanging out in Surreal's memories? Like,
I don't think he would hang
Oh,
out.
that's
in her
kinky.
memories.
Master Archivist is like, I feel like I'm in a lesbian porn feeling.
I mean, I feel like I know what the
I feel like the lesbian.
I know what the Master Archivist is basically doing, but I don't know if I should readily divulge that information about how much the Master Archivist knows about you guys.
I don't want to know. I don't want to know. No.
Yeah.
But I mean, when you're dealing with
out soon, and we'll hate it.
I mean, if you're dealing with aspects of gods, it's a really weird realm of like, oh, they know things, but like. So anyway, moving forward, back to the cave. So, how'd you guys feel about Snigbat?
Can I
love Snigbat.
I would like to say that episode 10 is one of my favorite episodes so far in terms of like the music and like the pace that we did. The fucking gas up of Snakebat, where she is like, okay, all right. And then the music picks up, is so good and so satisfying and so fucking funny. It's just so good. I loved every part of that. I thought I really liked that whole exchange of like Surreal going back and forth with Hark and like him trying to explain himself and Surreal losing patience very quickly. Like I'm fucking waiting. Like what? I thought it was just like a really tight like exchange and a really good episode.
Yeah, and there's so many moments where the music shifts from like subtle and mysterious and good just to like pure nonsense.
yeah. Which I think is a theme that we've done with our music where like normally we have like pretty standard like, hey, background standardy drama music. But then like when Zell's up to his bullshit or Barty's up to something, it'll get a little bit lighter and a lot more fun. And it's sort of like an audio cue of like shenanigans are happening.
That was the one thing I was actually kind of looking forward to with this season, because last season being set in Curse of Strahd, everything was very dreary.
Intense
and
cellos.
Even though there was very small moments where there was like comical moments that happened, it was very much like overshadowed by the dreariness and the darkness of what was happening around.
Drew, we didn't hear what you just said, bud.
Oh, I just said more cellos.
Yeah.
Lots and lots of cellos.
More
lots of cellos and stand-up basses.
I wonder why I would have put cellos in myself. I have no idea.
No clue.
Nope.
But with this season, we really get to have that lightheartedness, even though there is lots of seriousness going around in Faerun. Like there's lots of drastic things happening on. You're not trapped. You're not like in this space that you can't escape from. And there's that room for like levity where you guys can crack a joke and smile and make dumb choices, and it's okay.
Yeah.
Can I just say that my proudest moment in this campaign, and that's including what we recorded up to, is saving Snigbat and not letting you all murder her.
Surreal,
really
like mom arming.
I
Yeah.
I mean, I thought it was a really good exchange because I think it got to show Surreal more in a leadership position, managing the other party members, but also not demonstrating any kind, like she protects Snigbat, but then she's also like, I will come and let Moose murder the fuck out of you if I hear that you are like disobeying what we've said. Like, so like, I think that there's a lot. It was a good Surreal little mini arc there. Yeah.
And going back to the music bit, I didn't have that in mind when we were recording. But when I was listening back, I started the episode off and we were in the cave. I'm like, okay, it's kind of serious. We don't know what's coming. And then when I got to John doing that, like, okay, I'm like, I can't put serious music under this. It doesn't fit. So I was going through Kevin MacLeod's like archive, and I found that one song. Like, this is exactly what I need. As soon as I put it on, I'm like, this, I can't go to anything else. It was fun.
I had a lot of fun playing Snigbat. I really didn't know what you guys were going to throw at me because there was a lot of different possibilities that could have happened in this cave. And the way it went, I was just like, how would a goblin act in a situation where it is trying to literally start a revolution and overthrow, even it's a small government, but this tiny little government that exists in this grand scheme of things. And I was just having fun toying with the idea of like, what the heck is this little goblin gonna do?
No, your
There's
goblin
spin-offs
sounds
in
great.
here somewhere.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, thank you.
Snigbat topples an oligarchy, or like,
The Ballad of Snigbat.
Yeah, for you guys, it was just like, oh, this is just a Tuesday. But for this goblin, it's like everything. It's like, this is all I know.
Without spoilers and alluding to earlier, all I will say is,
Yeah.
Snigbat's who I'm taking with me.
Yeah, as much as Moose hates Stigbat, girl's got it going on. She's smart. She's
Yep.
eloquent.
Yep.
No. Yes, I didn't really think about this. I think that's pretty smart for a goblin.
Yep.
Goblins typically aren't that intelligent, and I was also like,
works.
what insults do goblins throw at each other? Poop face.
Poop
Poop
face.
face is the
Yeah.
only thing I can think of at the moment. I was just
That's
as
so
flustered as Stigbat was. What do I
Yeah.
say?
Yeah, he threw out poop face, which I don't know if it was obvious, but I timed it to the music of like you saying it, taking a brief pause just to let that insult sink in, and then move on. You said poop face, I went, yeah, checks. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
Stigbat, incite your rebellion.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And also, Barty touched my ass in the dark. I remember. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. So Marty, let's go into detail about that. How did it feel?
Firm and defined. Like you could get a solid grip on it.
I do believe you described it as a shelf butt.
A shelf butt.
Yeah.
Shelf butt. It's like when you're wearing pants and you have a belt tied and it kind of goes out like this. That's what I call a shelf.
We need to get Mortimer one of those photo shoots that, what was it, Kim Kardashian with the champagne.
Yes.
Oh God.
I don't
Mortimer
want
wants
to see this.
nothing to do with that.
Nope.
Next time in game we stop in a city, we pay all of our money to get Mortimer a photo shoot.
We get this.
There
We
you
get
go.
the Storm King's Thunder calendar.
Like a
There you
fucking
go.
100-foot oil painting.
we commission an amazing painting of Mortimer.
Yeah.
The fucking Scanlan type. Like
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know,
Oh,
if Polish
God.
hears this, though.
I know. It's
That's the
magnificent.
best.
I also like the part where like we were all like hiding in the shadows for that, and it's like I brought these people. It's like all of us at the same time. We're like, oh, fuck.
You idiot. Thanks.
Yeah.
Yep. I
Yeah.
love it. The best
There
laid
was-
plans.
There
Bucky's
was
like,
another. There was another small moment that was actually kind of interesting. Was with Flock Brown. It was kind of the first time that Flock Brown really obeyed an order of yours, and you sent to Moose to kind of be like, send a signal something bad happens. And I feel like there was a moment where Flock Brown maybe kind of understood the severity of the situation and was more like, okay.
Yeah.
So
Sorry. Go
you know
ahead.
what? Sorry. The interesting thing about that is most time when Barty tries to get Flock to do something, he says it as a demand, like, Flock, go. And this is one of the circumstances where he said, hey, Flock, can you please stay with Moose? It was more of a request than it was an order.
Yeah.
So that might be an interesting thing to keep track of. I don't know. It just occurred to me.
It
That
is interesting.
that
That is
also,
very
you said order, and I immediately went, I feel like he wasn't following an order. He also just thought it was a good idea. So he heard the suggestion and said, you know what? I should do that. Not because you asked me to, but because I agree with it.
I mean, there could have
Awesome.
been a lot of conflicting emotions going on in Flock's mind. He could have been literally doing it because he felt that it was a good idea, and he felt that like maybe I should do this to help them out. Or it could have been, I don't want to go in the fucking cave and I'm going to stay out here. You just gave
Maybe-
me a reason not to go in. Great.
Maybe it's I like Moose more than I like Barty. So
that's a very strong possibility. Everyone
I
likes
also am just like really stuck on the idea that was floated a couple talkings ago where it's like a mutual Stockholm syndrome situation.
Yeah. Or it could have been, oh, the cat's going in there. Great. I'll stay out
I'll
here.
stay out here. Yeah.
I'm tired of them eyeing me down like I'm meat.
And did you end up casting Speak with Animals to talk to Flock? I remember that being a joke.
No.
No.
Nope. But
Again, Moose is a very private person. She respects other people's privacy.
Yeah. Moose will joke about gossiping with Flock, but I don't think Moose will actually go with.
Yeah.
So what do you think was going through Moose's mind while she was up in the top of the cave? Like, I know she completely rejected the idea of going in or was basically told to stay outside, but what do you think was going through her mind, hoping that her friends were doing something
You know, when
productive?
Kill Bill was what was in my head. I was just like
The sirens?
Yup.
Dun, 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 dun.
I think Moose's like reticence about going in that cave, a lot of that got cut.
Mm-hmm.
Guys,
Which part?
I don't do that.
Moose, like, there was a little bit of stuff about Moose like seriously not wanting to go in that cave.
Yeah.
And it came up like once, but
I believe I cut some stuff down because it felt repetitive at some point. and I cut some other stuff out because of bad audio.
Shenanigans.
Yeah. Bad audio shenanigans happens.
Yeah. I mean, we'll get more into that later.
Yeah.
I recently cut something out of an episode where it sounded like Bucky fucking horked in the middle of his word, and I couldn't figure out a way to get around it. And Josh was like, "Just cut the whole damn thing out. It's not that important."
It was one of those you listen and go, can the audience understand this without it? Yes?
No.
Kill it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like he was talking, then it was like, I'm doing this to her.
Yeah, sometimes bodies make weird noises. It happens.
What? Do you see? So a little peek behind the curtain. I don't think we've had a lot of instances where we've had to go back and re-record something that was too important to cut, right?
No, we only had to re-record some audio because of a fan being on, and that was it. Everything else we have made work or bring up in a different light. Sometimes things are repeated more than once, and I just leave one in there to help streamline the episode. And also some things I cut just based on the feel of how the episode is. I forgot what part it was in Strahd, but it was something really serious at the time. It was a joke that was cracked. It was really funny, but it broke the entire tension of the moment. So I just removed it.
Yeah.
The other thing in Strahd is that you reordered some of the stuff with Van Richten dying and Nick because someone made a joke to cut the tension, and we had to change it around. Yeah,
that was it.
Yep.
There were also times where we cut out. There was when Krusk and Charlotte had their fight. The fight that ended up in the episode was a lot shorter than the one that happened in game, because that was a battle essentially.
Yeah,
and it was long. So
yeah. But we got the point across with it shorter, so we just cut it out. This last session, I realized that I missed an opportunity to do a description that was important, so I just recorded it at the end, and we're going to copy paste it into where it should be.
Yeah. Sometimes you end up saying things a lot of times, especially when it comes to improv. A lot of times you just kind of end up repeating yourself, and sometimes it's just like, you guys aren't stupid. You get the point, so might as well just cut it out, move on to the next thing, so you get the point of what's happening and move on.
And also, the only other time we really need to re-record something, we do immediately after because we hear the background noise, and we're like, just take that again and just do it. It's the only time it really feels more like a show than us just playing a game. Is we just need to be conscious of the audio quality.
Also, because we speak and we talk with our hands, and sometimes we bump into shit and we go, "Oh shit!"
Sometimes we punch the
Neighbor
microphone.
wants to vacuum all
Sometimes
day.
you punch the microphone. It happens.
Sometimes you leave it unmuted while you're chewing popcorn in a live stream.
It does happen.
Sometimes the dude who lives behind your house wants to use a table saw right under your window for 3 hours.
We had a guy hammering outside for a while. I'm hoping it's not in the audio for that episode.
Crap.
Yeah. Also, sometimes you're trying to do an accent and it wanders into 3 different regionals. And
That's topical to stuff you don't know about right now.
And we're gonna have to cobble together some shit of
okay. So about these spoilers, I'm just gonna say we can work that in canonically about her not knowing who she is and like what lies she wants to tell.
Mortimer for a line of that was completely British because of Morgan, your voice. I picked off it. I'm like, oops.
I heard it.
Yep.
Somewhere down the long line of this person's history or lineage is a direct line to the Brickwoods.
At one point there, Mortimer became constable.
Yep. I took it after I did it. I'm like, okay, I'll play that off as Mortimer, like kind of giving the tone back.
Yeah.
And I tried not. Yeah.
You can make it work.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Anyway.
You'll find out about that in about a year and a half, guys.
Back to stuff that's actually we're talking about right now.
The reason, by the way, we're not going into questions is we actually don't have any questions for the last 2 episodes, so we're just talking. So
which is wild.
Yeah. So
ask us questions.
Polish, since you're in the chat, if you have any questions that we can't answer in an After Dark segment, we'll answer them. Yeah.
I feel like he has only those questions.
Yeah. That's the only questions I've ever received.
I mean, hey, you know what? We got 15 minutes. We could just like answer all the After Dark questions real fast.
So for people who are not caught up and who will be caught up soon, the end of the first arc will be episode 11, which just came out on Monday. So as a reminder, or if you haven't listened to campaign 1, we do tend to take the seasons and cut them up into arcs. It just means like an overall plot line. It's kind of like a break in the season.
We don't usually plan for those. A lot of times they just happen naturally where one thing kind of leads to the next, which is really helpful for these kinds of structures of, especially this game where it's literally broken up into sections where it's like, this is an arc, this is an arc, this is an arc. It feels natural.
Some of these arcs will be a lot longer than they were in Strahd, just because of the amount of travel that is there and how much of one theme is in one place. But it's just a natural cutting point. Which we have the name of the second arc, but we won't say it yet. But we finally came up with it.
Because we're teasing.
Yeah. But we're doing movies this time around instead of music.
Yeah.
Change that
We like puns.
Yeah. Just
Not shocking.
That's an understatement.
We're obsessed with puns. There we go.
Yeah.
So, anything else anybody wants to talk about? Any questions about the episode? Anything? Any clarifications?
I don't know.
Just talk about our day.
I don't know. Is it so?
Our day was recording.
Yeah.
What is
So
everybody
far.
gonna do after this?
Eat some tacos.
Oh, Polish has a question.
All right.
Oh, here we go.
Polish has a question.
Okay.
Ooh, what up, bud?
Are there any fictional?
It says 8.
I'm giving
8 there.
I'm giving Polish the benefit of the doubt. Are there any fictional real life characters you're using as inspiration for your Storm King's Thunder characters?
Yes.
Morgan
Yes.
can go first.
Fun fact. Surreal is entirely a Stargate Atlantis alternate universe fanfic. That's what's happening here. That's exactly. I do that a lot though. I base so Charlotte was based off of Tahani Al Jamil from The Good Place, and that's how a lot of my characters start out. Ray is based off of Ray, who is a Generation Kill. And Surreal is based off of the love child between John Shepard from Stargate Atlantis and Shane from the L World. That's it. And L Word, not L World. That's
L World is the sequel.
yeah. Yeah.
Like Waterworld.
The lesbians
but
take
totally
over. Yeah.
That's the merging Stargate Atlantis and the L Word merged together.
Yeah. So like a lot of that characterization is very present in Surreal, and the people in her life are very based off of other fictional characters.
For Mortimer, I covered it a little bit in the Discord, but he comes from a point of view of like Daredevil, very heavily Daredevil influenced. There's a little bit of Bruce Wayne Batman in there, but more so just towards the vigilante angle. That's really it. And detective a little. More like that. Daredevil, though, is like the prime thing of he's, for those who don't know Daredevil, Matt Murdock, he is a lawyer who is blind. I didn't take the blind element, but it plays on blind justice, where he's in the system, he's trying to weed out corruption, but notices the system is corrupt at times, so he goes out of the system to correct what he couldn't. So Mortimer is kind of like that. I won't get into why specifically, but he was a member of the City Watch, as people know, and we'll see what happens from there.
Mm-hmm.
100% Tulip O'Hare
Who?
from Preacher.
Oh.
Mega. How southern and angry can I get?
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna punch God.
Handle it.
Zell, I know, is heavily based off of Aang, right? You kind of went with that.
Yeah,
idea.
heavily based off Aang, and on top of that, I wanted a very like childlike character, and I also wanted, because last season I played several characters that were very much like, let's just go, let's get into it. And I wanted to play.
And Cell doesn't do that at all.
No, I wanted to play a character that was just like, okay, I'm just gonna sit here until you're like, let's do a thing. I'm like, okay.
Except
That
when
is
he's like, remember when he almost died?
Let's do it.
Like
Okay,
last
I'm going to do
episode.
the opposite thing.
It doesn't happen always, but I mean, again, he is very childlike, so he will do things his own way. But he's specifically not usually a character that will push the story forward. And I specifically wanted to play a character that did not do that.
More reactive.
Basically all four of them in Curse of Strahd were just like, I don't care. I'm gonna walk in this room.
Yeah, I'm gonna change slightly what you said and see if this is right. It's the I don't want to just sit here. I want to go do the thing unless it's the plot.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yes, sure. Let's go with that.
Yes.
And what about Barty McFly? Can't like is there any pop culture reference in there?
What is this?
I mean,
Tell
Barty's
more
just
about
the name. I don't think he's
Yeah.
even related even closely to Marty McFly.
Yeah, so the thing is, this is my second, maybe 2.5, like longish campaign characters, and I'm still
I'll be right
somewhat learning to role play characters that don't line up with what I would naturally do. So a lot of my characters are just based off of like portions of my personality and react the way that I instinctively would react, but I like to change things with their backstory. You know, it's like I don't base the character off of anybody currently, but their entire motivations and everything they're doing is just all based off of the backstory. Just because it's just easier for me to say, okay, in this situation, I know what Barty has been through, and having lived that myself in my own mind, I can choose where Barty will go next. And Barty will do things that I won't necessarily do, but it's somewhere close to my own personality. And Kent, on the other hand, was in my mind a reflection of me being new to this world and really just being naive and going out there for the first time. And Barty, on the other hand, is kind of like this person that is a little bit more experienced and knows his surroundings, but also, just is going about his day-to-day life with his own motivations. So it's kind of just based off of me a little bit and all the pop culture references I possibly could pull out of my mind.
That is also great character creation and improv advice of knowing who your character is, so that way you can make decisions later. That's wonderful advice.
I'm excited to see where, knock on wood, I love taking initiative and hope that this continues for a very, very long time. But I'm excited to see, as we continue to do one shots and we continue to do more and more campaigns, how far my characters will drift from my own personal beliefs. Because I would like to see that growth and really play. I would love to down the line eventually play somebody who's completely different to who I am and is doing something completely, not Nick like. So.
That's why I'm excited for the future. Once this game is done, the next character that I'm going to make, I definitely want to explore that idea. Like Ven held ideas that were very close to how I feel, and Ven was like very much based off of me as a person. And I wanted that next character that I make to be something entirely different, explore a different aspect of myself, or explore something that I never thought about before, which is the fun of doing what we do.
I think it's hard for me because like all of my characters are me in some way. Even if they are like different aspects of my personality. And I even built like Teapot on my Dark Sun stream to be very like not at the front of the fight and not in people's faces. And yet Teapot still ended up being 3 feet tall and bossing people around and like doing that kind of stuff because that's me. And like it ended up fitting for that character over time.
And a lot of it also depends on party dynamic. And if
for
no
sure.
one else is willing to take that charge and go ahead, it's like, I guess I got to do this now.
You guys have been on a podcast with me and know me for a really long time. And if you guys have been listening to this podcast for a while, I very rarely do not take an opportunity to talk. So like when there's a long silence, I'm like, okay, I guess it's time for Teapot to take charge. Like, let's do it. Or in any case of like, all right, it's time for Surreal to do something, or like, let's go. So I have a hard time with, I don't know if I would ever be able to play a character that was like truly evil or was cruel in a lot of ways. I don't know if I would be able to do that. I'd have a hard time with it.
It's one of those things that like evil campaigns are one thing, like long form being an evil character are one thing. And I feel I've never done one, but I feel like it would be exhausting making decisions completely against how you feel as a person over and over.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's something to explore in a one shot maybe just to be like, what's it like to be the bad guy for a little while, and then afterwards be
Yeah.
like, well, don't like that, don't got to do that ever again.
I also like the reverse idea of that, which is you started a campaign with evil characters and like watch them learn how to love.
Aw, redemption.
That's kind of how
That's interesting,
campaign worked. Evil Campaign, which is James D'Amato and his channel for One Shot, they did Campaign, which was Star Wars and all the good guys, and then they did an Evil Campaign, which was like all the bad guys they found and that kind of thing. But you could tell throughout that they started like having more redeeming qualities, and they dove into that a little bit more.
On top of that, evil is an interesting concept, because in Evil Campaign, they were working for the Empire, but that didn't necessarily make them bad people. They were just they were doing a thing that they thought was right.
Yeah.
Now, granted, that's kind of a gray area in that case, and they were supposed to be redeemable characters, and you were supposed to like them, because if they were just flat out, cruel constantly, why would
It's very important to establish villains they're not just like, I'm the bad guy and everything I do is evil. They're people, but with just different ways of thinking.
I have an evil character ready to go if we want to do this.
I know you do.
Awesome.
She's fucked up. I've seen that Pinterest page.
Yeah.
No, I think the other thing is that like a really good example of how to do a campaign where you play, or like a game where you play not so great people, is the one shot that Liam ran for Critical Role, where they all played the like members of the Thief Guild, and like they were all pretty terrible in their own way. And it ended with, spoilers, it ended with everybody dying, essentially, because like that's kind of how you wrap that up, of like, these people were terrible.
Not actually redeemable.
Yeah.
The end.
And that's fine. Bye-bye now.
As a fun tip, though, if anyone out there is going to play an Evil Campaign, evil does not mean chaotically wackadoo. It means that they are serving a goal that is against the moral good, and usually if you're gonna play an evil campaign, have someone who's much stronger than the party boss them around.
So yeah, because I had so my buddy Ann was listening to one of her friends talk, and he was running a game that was evil, and he was like, I'm having a really hard time with it because like it's just not fun, man. Like they're acting like assholes constantly, and it doesn't move anything forward. It doesn't, like, nothing works because they just will always try to fuck it up. And she was like, why haven't you introduced the concept of consequences to these people yet? So, yeah. And he was like, what do you mean? And she was like, well, if they have spent the last 2 sessions murdering guards and like destroying this inn, then there's going to be an equal and opposite force to take them on. And he was like, you know what? I didn't think about that. And like really just like brought down the like weight of the law on them. Yeah. And they acted like absolute assholes about it and all died.
I mean, because here's the thing that a lot of inexperienced GMs will do with evil campaigns. They'll let their players kind of run wild, and then every player who wants to play an evil campaign is like, I'm gonna steal all that guy's stuff. I'm gonna stab him. I'm gonna poison that guy. And it's like, what are you doing? This isn't random shenanigans. Like, you have a goal.
Yeah.
It's just a bad goal.
Yeah, that's more of like a GTA sandbox.
Yeah.
Yes. It's like it's like how people, if anyone out there is ever going to play chaotic neutral, it's like, oh, they're just going to be monkey shines random. Like, that's not what that means.
No. Teapot is actually chaotic neutral. And that like, even though Teapot genuinely does like a good thing, like Teapot will always put their self-interests above, like their survival is numero uno. So like they will always look after what is good for themselves. And sometimes that means like good for other people as well. But like if it's, do we go out of our way and endanger ourselves to go find or to do something? It's like, I really need a lot to motivate me on that, because it's not in my self-interest.
Yeah, that is more what chaotic neutral should be like. Yes. It's about me. Am I going to die? Because I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
And I will do anything to not die.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that brings up a story we've told before of like when Zabby, my old character, went evil. Of like on the spot going, what does that mean for me? of being a relatively good character and then having to think in an evil way. And the way that I took evil was, I'm taking care of myself first. It's my interests. And if anyone's standing in my way for it, they can go to hell.
Yeah.
And just kind of disregarding moral consequence until it comes back and hits you, which is what happened when he flipped back to good, was he just broke down into tears, understanding that what he did when he was in this state was against everything he believed in.
Yeah.
I don't think playing that kind of a character, especially how I took Zabby, would have lasted very long, because all of your party dynamics are right out the window, unless you're being very manipulative.
Yep.
You need to be careful with that, because you can also you need to have a very good discussion, even more so than a regular game, with your other players and your DM to make sure that you guys are on a good page. Otherwise, you're going to have a lot of problems out of game, which is not what anyone wants.
Evil characters and evil campaigns are a dangerous way to go.
Yeah.
It's also kind of fun to play. I'm playing a character right now who has she doesn't know that all of her motivations are evil. Like, she's a sweet young child who has been lied to her whole life.
Raised in a cult.
Yeah, she was raised by a cult. Thinks she's a druid. It's not a druid. Yeah, so it's interesting to play you versus your character versus what your character's motivations actually are.
Yeah. And also playing something you adjacent. Like Mortimer for me is very much me adjacent. I believe a lot of the things that Mortimer does. It's just in a way of I don't think I could take it to that violent level at those times, because I'm not a very violent person. But the belief system and when he says something, it usually comes from a place that I understand as well. That works for me. Just because it's outside of my normal playing type, he's not very magic heavy, not intentionally at least. There was a little bit outside of that realm, but I like to have a lot of me in there as well. So that way I know where it comes from. It lends authenticity.
Yeah.
It's 2:58, so I believe we are out of time.
Yeah.
If we would like to give our sign-offs and such, John, would you care to start?
Sure. I'm Bucky. I'm the DM. You can find me here on Taking Initiative, this podcast. And I'm currently not on Twitter right now, but yes, if I ever get back on Twitter, you'll find me at Bucky_Masters.
Morgan.
Hi, my name is Morgan. You can find me on Twitter at ThistleRaven, where I complain about the MTA and talk about D&D.
Oh my God, don't get me started on the day I had with the MTA the other day.
I am also the one who's kind of on the ship of the TI pod Twitter, so you can kind of interact with me there as well. For one more week, you can find me on Twitch on Pro Starters stream playing Teapot, the wonderful bard rogue kobold, before we fight a fucking dragon on Mondays. That's Monday at 8 p.m.
8 a.m.
8 a.m. Monday at 8 p.m. This upcoming Monday, you can tune into our last episode of Dark Sun.
And that's 8 p.m. Eastern for
8 p.m.
those time
Eastern.
zone peoples.
Yep. Come watch.
Yeah. Nick.
Hey, I'm Nick. I play Bardy McFly. You can find me on all the social medias at Nico Figs. I've been taking a step back from Instagram and stuff, but I still look at everything on Twitter and love what everyone's posting. Love reading about some D&D stories on Twitter. So give me a follow there, and I'll retweet a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
Hannah.
That's me. I'm Hannah. You can find me on Twitter at Tinder Organic, where I mostly yell about D&D and also working in higher ed, which is a delightful romp.
Drew.
I'm Drew Tillman, and you can find me on Twitter at cyber_Sasquatch. You can also find me on a couple other random podcasts. And tonight, I'll be running the unexpected return of Halcyon Hooligans, which is a bunch of people who are terrible at being heroes. And then next Friday and Saturday, I will be playing in a game for Corpses and Curios, where we will be playing Capers, and then the following night we'll be playing Masks, and I will return as Edgelord finally.
Where can people find those two streams?
Both of those can be found on Kit Battlebeard's Twitch stream, which I believe is just Kit Battlebeard.
Cool. That's Kit
I
with
don't
one
think
T,
there's-
correct?
Yes, Kit with 1T. I don't believe there's an underscore. I think it's just Kit Battlebeard.
Cool. And I am Josh Peru. I am Mortimer Greaves in this here story. I am no longer on Twitter, so ignore that handle below. But if you'd like to chat, I'm in Discord, Looming. If you'd like to see anything I'm doing outside of podcast world, I am the online editor for Blue Bloods on CBS, so you can find my work on there. As for Taking Initiative, if you don't follow already, it's at TI_pod, and their website is takinginitiativepodcast.com. As a reminder, we have the Sirenscape giveaway going on. That's hashtag Taking Sirenscape. The second part of that giveaway will end tomorrow, Sunday at midnight. That's at night, not like when it turns into Sunday. Where we will be giving away an Avernus sound set for Sirenscape. Monday will mark our third giveaway, which will be the same kind of sound set for the next 2 weeks. And all those are cumulative for the last giveaway, which will be a 6-month subscription for Sirenscape. So in order to enter again,
Oh,
please
cool. Oh.
do hashtag Taking Sirenscape on Twitter, and you will be entered for that. We have more giveaways coming up after Sirenscape, so keep an eye out for more cool stuff. We'll be actually having giveaways going on for the entirety of 2019.
Yep.
So
Wow.
a lot of good stuff. That's it. So
Thanks for watching.
yeah, you can see our next episode in 4 weeks. It'll be Sans, Morgan, and myself, but you can join the rest of these fine people on November 16th at 2 p.m. Eastern. So until then, bye, everybody.
Bye.